Hello and welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block with David Schwimmer. So, I believe you said you finger-picked ever since?
Yeah. Back when I started playing guitar, the style that was popular, people like Peter, Paul, and Mary, and they were doing a lot of what's called Travis picking, named for Merle Travis, which is, or cotton picking, which is named for Elizabeth Cotton. The 2 and 3 finger picking styles where you do a repeated bass, and some variations on the second, the middle fingers. And I've been doing that style most of my life. But then in one of my universities, I got picked up by a bluegrass band and started playing backup guitar for them, which requires flat picking. Yeah. So I kind of learned to be a little heavy on the bass. So I tend to emphasize bass leads because the backup bluegrass guitarist, unless you really have a good lick, you wind up doing that sort of that bass stuff, a lot of that, and you have to be heavy on the bass to counter the banjos and mandolins. So I learned a little bass, a little bit of bluegrass flat picking, but when I'm not playing bluegrass, I tend to just stick with some variation on that 3-finger picking. Then I started playing banjo, which of course is the same 3-finger picking, but a whole different rhythm. Right. On guitar, you're doing bump, 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 alternating bass. On banjo, you're just playing bump, little. You're doing tremolos on the trebles with 1 every 4 licks is the thumb. So it's actually a little schizophrenic. When you go from banjo to guitar, your thumb has to change bases. But I've been doing that kind of music for so long that it's programmed into me. In fact, when I used to go to high school on the subway in New York, a long trip across New York City, and I'd practice my rolls and picking patterns on my knee. In fact, I'd take the guitar to school frequently. I'd play on the subways when I was going to school. Wow, cool. And in fact, a lot of musicians in New York now make a living basically panhandling on the subways with their instruments. Some concert violinists are walking through the subways, playing along and getting money and making good livings too. It's weird, but that's the current trend. So I learned a couple of different guitar styles and sort of studied a little bit what different people are doing. The very, very most sophisticated finger pickers use 3 fingers plus a thumb. You may have heard John Scott Evans playing, for example. He does that style. Chet Atkins did a lot of that. I have never been able to use my ring finger in picking, and I've tried. It just doesn't want to go by itself. So I'm stuck with the 3-finger.
I'm still on 2.
I heard, although I didn't see it in person, Doc Watson plays with 2 fingers, and if you've listened to his finger picking, so apparently that's not a problem. They can move that finger fast enough. What I've never mastered is really hot flat picking, where every single up and down stroke is a different note. Tony Rice kind of work. I've tried and I can't do that. I just don't have the chops for it. I wish I did.
So what about your music now?
Well, all my life I wrote a few songs back early years, but they're so old-fashioned. They just don't. I just don't get any feeling from them. Last 2 years, I've written a few songs. So they come out kind of silly. You'll hear it. I have not written a song that doesn't have some kind of weirdness to it. I'm trying to write a non-weird song, but like the one I'm working on currently is a love song to my truck.
Oh, cool.
It's that kind of thing.
There's a market for that somewhere.
I think I have sort of Ray Stevens kind of stuff for something a little weird in me. I just can't take myself seriously enough to write a really straight ballad or thing. So I'm just gonna I think if you force yourself to write music, it doesn't work. And most of the time, any song that I've liked or that I've written that I've liked, it just comes out as a whole piece. There's a couple of lines in there that just sound right, and you make a song out of it. And unfortunately, the lines that just sound right to me are sort of semi-comical. You'll see, but at least. What I like to do, though, is to find really old songs that haven't been sung for a while and try to update them in my style or just redo them. I do have kind of an unusual voice. It's much deeper than most people. So it sounds different when I sing it than when someone else does. So, and Henry and I played a lot with Henry in various gigs. He seems to enjoy, discovering an old song that no one's touched for 30 years and redoing it. I'll do one of those perhaps.
Cool. The first time I ever heard "Mama Rock Me" was you singing it, and I am aware that it's called Wagon Wheel, but Mama Rock Me just sounds so much cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think of the tagline of that, rock me mama like a wagon wheel, rock me mama any way you feel. It's just that's an example of a song that's natural. It just sounds so right. Everyone who plays it for the first time, it just, well, of course we should have been playing this. Yeah, a really good song, you don't have to force.
Yeah.
It just comes out, and then you know it's a good song. If you've got to contrive the lyric or the melody, it's okay, but it's not. It's not a keeper to me.
Now, what are you aiming for musically?
I don't know. I have a pretty busy job as a professor, so I don't have a lot of free time because there's homework. And it's basically, and I also teach at night, so my day job is a night job. Which conflicts with a lot of gigs. So I don't have a lot of time for gigs. I'm not sure. I keep trying to write music, and I would like to at some point come up with one decent album full of music, but I'm doing it very slowly. So where I'm going, I'd like to get maybe 5 or 6 more good original songs. I'd like to resurrect maybe 3 or 4 more ancient songs that are in public domain that maybe I can modernize. That's about where I'm going. I'd like to, I guess, improve my guitar skills, maybe update them a little bit. Not so sure. Just sometimes just floating along isn't a bad thing because you discover your muse by accident sometimes.
Quite true. Well, let's check out what his muse tells him, and we'll be right back.
Okay, this song is not my own. It's over 100 years old. It's hard to find out where it originated. I learned it when I was a little kid, and I kind of updated and changed the lyric a little, not the lyric too much, but the melody. And well, basically, this is a traditional song. It used to be called One Fish Ball. Then it got recalled One Meatball because who eats fish balls anymore? So here it is. It's a traditional American folk song. A little man walked up and down to find an eating place in town. He looked a menu through and through to see what 15 cents could do. He found one meatball. One meatball. He could afford but one meatball. Told the waiter near at hand the simple dinner he had planned. The guests were startled, one and all, to hear that waiter loudly call, one meatball, one meatball. The guest here wants but one meatball. Little man felt ill at ease. He said, "Sir, bread, sir, if you please." The waiter bellowed down the hall, "You get no bread with one meatball." Well, one meatball, one meatball. You get no bread with one meatball. The little man felt very bad. One meatball was all he had. And in his dreams he hears that call, "You get no bread with one meatball." Oh, well, one meatball, one meatball. Get no bread with one meatball.